And so the guy said, can you believe it? That was a riot, right?
I can't believe it. And it was a riot. But I'm glad that they calmed everything down because it was getting a little out of hand.
Exactly.
Literal and metaphorical.
Indeed.
Yeah. So when they put out the fire, then they had more to deal with.
That's Mike. I'm so glad you told that story. It was long.
Yeah.
It was long.
I know, and I regret to inform you that I was not recording during that whole conversation.
Oh my gosh. Entire fire story.
We'll just have to start over. Okay, so welcome to the Broad Street Review podcast, season 10. It is season 10. I still can't believe that. I'm going to say that all season. That has been 10 seasons with Broad Street Review. We are still doing our Fringe coverage, the 2025 Philadelphia Fringe Festival. I'm here with an old friend and a new friend to talk about one of the offerings in the Fringe lineup. It is Dogberry and Verges Are Scared. Can I get that right?
You nailed it. Nailed it.
Cool.
Knocked it out of the park.
And so I'm here with Michael Doherty and Will Mobley, right? Mobley?
Mobley, but close
Mobley.
enough.
Okay, Mobley. Will Mobley. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for having us.
We're excited to chat about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of this piece, tell us about yourselves. Tell us what you've been up to this past year, summer. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm a former Philadelphia-based artist. I lived in Philly from 2006 to 2022. Worked a bunch in the area. I haven't produced a Fringe show in about 13 years, which was Jeff Koons and Devil Must Die many, many years ago. It's cool to be back. It's cool to be producing something again. It's cool to be producing at this scale. And it's nice to be bringing my good buddy Will along, who comes from the Chicago-Milwaukee area.
Would you consider us buddies? Very nice. I mean, I hadn't really considered our relationship under those terms, but that's really sweet of you.
We're going to unearth some truths in this conversation.
I'll have to sort of process that and see how I feel about it.
Yeah. Let me know at the end of your spiel.
I will. Yeah, I was a Chicago-based actor for a while, and my wife and I moved to Milwaukee a couple of years ago, and Mike and I actually met at doing a show at the Milwaukee Repertory Theater. We were doing Much Ado About Nothing, where we played Dogberry. Mike played Dogberry, and I played Verges. And I will say we became fast friends, and our comic sensibilities were so aligned, and that was incredibly clear from the very beginning. We had a lot of fun doing that play, but I will say I think we had more fun off stage during that process, coming up with little bits and goofs that we would do in character off stage.
We would often ask ourselves, like, what do you think they're doing right now? Like, what would they be doing in this scene? And we came up with like a few premises of like lotsies and sketches, and several of those have made their way into our play. It was kind of the genesis of it, was like a what if game.
Yeah, and we felt that, you know, underneath all of the bits and the goofs, you know, we're playing for those of your listeners who aren't familiar with Dogberry and Verges from Much Ado About Nothing. They're minor comic relief characters, and they are friends and coworkers. And we felt that in creating a play about them, it could be very funny. It could have a lot of bits. It could have a lot of jokes, a lot of like vaudevillian type humor, a lot of sketch type humor. But underneath all of that, it could be a story about friendship and about forgiveness. And that felt really compelling to us. And so we wrote this very silly, very sweet play.
Yeah, we've been writing it like literally since the day we closed that show 2.5 years ago. So it's been a constant evolution. We've never really quite been able to step away from it. So it's wild to consider the trajectory from that moment where we were goofing around to, like, you know, putting together a budget on a spreadsheet or something so dumb.
Yeah, that's a sign. If you can't put it down, that means there's more to this, and you have to follow it where it leads.
Yeah.
And you know, the really incredible thing has been that we have been able to do readings and workshops of this play at various different theaters around the country where Mike has been working typically. And every time we do a workshop or a reading of it, there is this response to the play where people are just like, you guys have got to keep working on this. You've got to get this out there. This is, You know, this is so funny. It's so sweet. It's like the version of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead that we want out in the world.
Yeah, yeah. It creates this feeling of like this buzz that like it's always really exciting talking to people right afterwards because, you know, we've just engaged in the thing that we all love, which is not only making people laugh, but like telling a story and telling a new story that people haven't heard. And there's something really cool about birthing new art into the world, right? Like unheard stories that are actually striking ears for the first time. We do so many plays in this profession that have been told over and over again, which totally has its value. But this is such a unique experience for it to be so new, you know?
Yeah. So you mentioned that you presented it in some form wherever Mike, wherever you were working at the time. So was it the two of you that were Dogberry and Verges?
We decided early on that it would be a nightmare for us to try and play those roles and get the feedback that we needed from a reading. So I think when we initially conceived of the play, like that was the plan, that we would play those parts. But as it evolved, the characters just sort of grew to be different than who Mike and I sort of naturally are and like present as on stage.
Yeah.
And so we passed those roles off to incredible actors at different theater companies across the country where we were doing these readings. And finally, they have landed in the hands of Philly's own Scott Greer and Tony Lawton, who are just absolutely killing in these parts. They are so good and so funny. And quite frankly, so much better than Mike and I could ever be.
Yeah, it's funny, like it was such a practical inception, like Will is saying, like we should step aside so that we can hear our play, you know, so that we can be objective about it. And then we were like, what if these two characters sat a little older than us? Like, is there something more poignant about, you know, two people a little past middle age at the end of their rope and the direness of their circumstances? And now watching Scott and Tony do it is such an affirmation of that notion. And just, it's also really satisfying because they've got this buddy duo.
Yeah.
This is their 25th show together, and their chemistry, it's like a rich roux. It's been on a low and slow temperature for like a couple of decades, you know?
And that roux makes for one delicious gumbo, friends. So Dogberry and Verges are scared.
For more culinary metaphors.
I mean, honestly, there are a lot of wonderful artists in this community, but if a show has Scott Greer or Tony Lawton in it, those are going to be moments to pay attention to. They always are. Yeah. So they are a great team together.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was gonna say it's been humbling to have folks like them, and like, you know, Matt Decker is directing, and Robbie Hager is a part of it, and Mike Inwood is lighting designing, Jen Rose is doing choreo, and so like the Philly artists that have stepped up for this are like of such a higher caliber than frankly we can afford, and frankly that we have any right to be working with. So that there's been like a truly humbling sense of like this is so much better than it ever could have been when it was completely within our control. And that's really been cool to watch accumulate, you know?
So how did you bribe them? And is there a car outside? Just keep tracking your every move.
Yeah, you know, I will say I hope I don't sound like we're patting ourselves on the back too much, but I think it does speak to the play itself that these incredible people, these amazing artists wanted to be a part of it and wanted to help bring it out and bring it onto the stage. You know, it is certainly a tour de force for the two main actors who play the clowns, but there are a lot of things within it for an incredible lighting designer to like sink his teeth into, or an incredible choreographer to like work with, and an incredible director to sort of like shape. I feel like we wanted to make a play that would be fun to work on no matter what part of it you were working on.
Yeah. And so in the process of bringing this together, when did you start thinking about how all the other elements will come together and complement it? Like, were you always thinking like, you know what, I think a super awesome lighting moment will happen right here? Or was it like after the third version, you're looking at it and going, wait a minute, now we got to bring this to life?
Yeah.
What came first, or were you thinking about it in the back of your head?
We tried really hard as we wrote it to write like transitional moments that could be interpreted a variety of ways. Like we didn't want to be prescriptive for future designers and directors. And we became producers of this production, kicking and screaming, like there's never been a more reluctant stepping up to the plate. It was completely born out of necessity. I'm really, really glad we're doing it because it's cool to have autonomy over the thing that we created on the page and be a part of it, taking on three-dimensional life. But yeah, it's wild to watch these things that we could only imagine come to life because their imaginations extend beyond our own. And so it becomes a more fully realized version of the storytelling.
In a way, this whole process and the play itself has been a kind of love letter to the theater. We have had so many moments of troubleshooting, problem solving in the rehearsal room and as writers, where one person's idea sparks another person's imagination and they add to that idea, and the solution becomes greater than anything that any one person could create. It becomes a true act of collaboration where the sum is greater than the total of all of the parts, which is, I don't know, it has been an incredible reminder of why I like making theater in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That all of these voices get to come together and make something that no one single person could make by themselves.
I've been thinking a lot about this now because of the current climate that we're in. I feel like it doesn't matter. You can pick any point in time in the last 10 years. It's always the current climate. And everybody's like, yeah, I know. But I've been asking artists, I mainly want to know how an idea comes to completion or presentation. And so I've been thinking, like, is it time for artists to all think about putting on a producer's hat and like trying to usher in some new creativity? Because there are companies who are justifiably fearful of the future or uncertain of the future because of the foundation that they've already laid. But I feel like artists have an opportunity to say, we've got ideas and we don't have, years of infrastructure to try to maintain. We've got a piece that we can kind of bring anywhere and see what happens. What are your thoughts?
I'm not a great historian about this stuff, but I think it's probably safe to say that in times of strife or turmoil, that movements and great artistic movements are led usually by individual artists and not institutions. And I think that there is so much power in being a singular artist or a group of artists that have a vision and bring that out without any of the sort of like institutional constraints and histories and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I would also say that on an institutional level, it's no secret that like this is the era of the co-pro, of the plug and play, of like, come do this show for one weekend here, like we're seeing that all the time. So to pivot from pitching this script that we wrote to pitching this production that we've helped build became just a logical next step in the current like financial model of American regional theater. And we're lucky to have had the Cincinnati Shakespeare Company step up to the plate in a big way to co-sign on that and literally co-produce this with us, Yeah. So it wouldn't be happening at this scale if it weren't for them. So, shout out to Brian Isaac Phillips at CSC for kind of, taking a risk, like the kind of thing that you always want to see, like do the new play. People, it'll be good. People will come if it's good.
Absolutely.
TBD on that, but that's the idea.
On Saturday, it'll be me and Matt sitting in theater. We brought everyone with us. They're just, you can't see them. Don't worry about it. The lights are bright. So tell me about the first, like what you would consider the first sort of performance in front of an audience, and what was that like?
That's interesting. Yeah, we were just talking about this the other day. We did a reading of an early draft of our script at the Milwaukee Repertory Theater. And we invited a handful of people.
Yeah, from staff and some people working on shows at the time.
And it ran 2 hours long. By the way, disclaimer, this play is 90 minutes in and out, no intermission. It's very short now.
The best kind of play, in my opinion.
But it was so long and overwritten and funny. People were laughing and enjoying themselves. But I think Mike and our social anxiety was like, I couldn't even hear the play anymore. I was like, these people have been here for so long. We need to let them go.
They need to pee. We were expecting it to be 100 minutes tops. It was excruciating.
We built no intermission.
We should have done an intermission. That was draft 2. Cut to doing a workshop at Utah Shakes as a little fundraiser for the program that brings out like casting directors and stuff. And we had like a little public gathering of like 40 people. And it was the first time we had a bunch of people laughing at it. And that's when we could feel like, oh, wow, this thing, I mean, requires an audience in this really vital way. And that's what made us want to go, okay, what does the actual path forward look like? The next reading we did was at Cincy Shakes, which sort of sparked the whole trajectory to Fringe and CoPro and all that stuff.
Are there any darlings that were in this piece that you had to kill that you want to find a place for somewhere else?
Oh, that's a great question.
That's a really good one, Darnell.
There was a bit in the play where one of the characters misremembers the phrase "fit as a fiddle." It's like, oh yeah, that guy, he's looking as a fiddle. And then the other character said, I'm pretty sure it's fist. Fist as a fiddle? French as a fiddle.
Flit as a fiddle.
Finch as a fiddle.
As a fiddle.
Fesh as a fiddle.
French as a fiddle?
That's it.
There are things like that. We actually have a Google Doc called The Boneyard.
All
the bits that have been cut from various drafts, and we've pulled from it.
We have
to reinstate into more recent drafts. The other bit I'll always mourn is there's a very, very famous scene in Much Ado where it's just Beatrice and Benedict. And it's Lady Beatrice, have you wept all this while? It's kind of like the heart of the play. It's one of the best written scenes in Shakespeare history. I'm not going to do the whole thing.
No, do the whole scene.
And we have one of our characters do this little side quest. And as a part of that side quest in an early draft, he walked through that scene, realized that he was intruding upon a moment. They don't notice him, but he is upstage of them, locked in this church with them trying to escape. So it's like an upstaging Lotzie that we thought was so funny. He's like knocking over a candelabra and catching it in the nick of time and trying to blow out the candles. So it's falling apart. That was a pretty early cut of being like, we got to wrap this thing up. This thing's clocking in 2 hours.
Those are the kind of things that like the people who have really helped usher this together, like you gather them and say, here's what didn't make it.
Yeah. We thought about as a fundraiser doing an evening of deleted scenes from Dogberry and Verges Are Scared.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Only 3 hours long.
No intermission.
That's our thing.
So did you always have a thought to bring it here? Were you always thinking about Scott and Tony?
Man, no. Well, again, like we didn't want to. We were like, we're not going to be producers on this. We're just going to be writers. And then someone started talking about the Edinburgh Fringe, and we're like, oh, that would be a cool goal. And then we realized you don't just produce a show for the first time in Scotland. You build it.
You have to have a body first.
Yeah, and because Philly was a market I was familiar with, there's a Fringe festival here that I produced within. It felt like a good home base to do it. And once that turned into the CoPro with CSC, it became viable to build something that we could actually eventually get to Edinburgh, which is still the goal.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember a few years back, the Untitled Project, 213.
Yeah, that made its way to Scotland.
Did a similar like return to the stage, which also acts as a fundraiser. And, it's like, hey, we saw it here, but if you missed it, come join us in Edinburgh. The ticket will cost way more, but you got to fly, get airfare. Yeah, But I think it's exciting, the energy of a Fringe festival, because I think everyone walks into it saying this is in progress in some way, but these are professionals, and they're going to give us a show no matter where it is in their minds,
Yeah, totally.
And I think we're all just open and supportive of it too.
I think that's right. I think people are going to be on our side who are coming to this thing. But it's an interesting hybrid of that Fringe energy and the kind of like traditional regional theater thing, because this will be on Cincy Shake's main stage at the start of next season. So that's a cool element that makes this have to kind of rise to a higher bar than maybe just the Philly Fringe version would have.
Yeah, I think we have managed to find a really great blend of immediacy and grittiness with polish and sort of a high value finish on the play. It's not the Broadway version yet. We're still working on that version of it, but it does combine what I think are like the best parts of a Fringe show with the best parts of a more, a show you would see in a more traditional theater setting. And we're at Christchurch Neighborhood House, which just has this so much character in the theater up there.
Yeah.
That it just, I don't know, it has a really great sense. It's a really fun sensory experience.
Yeah. That exposed brick as an extension of our set. Yeah, it does feel very immersive in a satisfying way.
Yeah. And depending on the setting, it does feel like the stage goes on forever.
Yeah.
Like, how far down can I go? Yeah. So now you're trying to be hands off of this, but are you?
I don't know. You should see our notes that we give after our runs.
That's what I was going to say. Are you in the rehearsal room for all of this, and are you looking at it going, I don't know, are you still thinking about changing things, or are you just in there saying like they're just killing it?
The great part about this and the way that it has all worked out is that everyone working on the show, everyone's main focus is how can we make this the best version of the thing. Mm-hmm. And so everyone is just trying to sharpen the play and the production as much as they can. So we are still in there. Like we have committed to being done with script changes.
It's kind of been the running joke is this is the last version of the script. Time, no take backsies.
Yeah. But we have a sense of how some of the jokes want to land, how some of the rhythm of the play wants to go. And it's a great privilege, I think, for us to be able to be in the room and have such a close working relationship with our amazing cast and Matt Decker, who is just a phenomenal director, so generous, and that we're able to have those conversations and be like, okay, this was our intention as writers. How can we get closer to like our intended version of the thing?
Yeah, which feels incredibly unique to being like the writer producer, because like I'm sure we would just let more things go and let them become, but it's cool to try to get like, is it worth exploring the original idea behind this premise? And is there a way that we could write that in a clearer way? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like making the original written material better.
He's very good at
words.
Words.
Well, there's also the fact that we are there as writers and producers and the front of house staff and the understudy for 2/3 of the cast.
And we do all the laundry.
And we do laundry, yeah.
And we're going to be working the bar and sweeping up afterwards.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's we're there out of necessity as much as out of enthusiasm.
When you say that in like future conversations, you should pick one of those and talk about how you've made huge progress in it.
Yeah.
We're also the laundry, but I'll tell you what, I bought this new detergent and it's like one-stop shop. You
should see this guy shirt. It's like he can do it in like a minute or two.
Did you just buy this from a store?
Look how crisp.
You work at the Gap? That's a skill right there, to be able to fold a shirt. I've seen so many of those videos online where it's like you take this corner and very quickly flip it around and there it is. Perfect shirt.
Yeah, I should probably learn that. It might save us some time.
Yeah, it's also I
can't do that.
Thing. Not only am I the president, I'm also the janitor.
I'm the janitor. Love it. You got to start somewhere. You got to walk before you can. You got to crawl before you can walk. So I've asked every artist, what do you need as artists to bring your work to light? It could be anything. It could be, I gotta have a full belly. I gotta have a special drink. I need a certain notebook. I need rent paid for 3 months. I need, floor space. I need a full-on set.
I think what this process has illuminated for me is that the one thing that I need as an artist to ensure that I'm creating my best work is great collaborators. From the very beginning, that was the ethos around Mike and I writing this play. Our collaborative relationship was so natural and so easy. Early writing, current writing sessions just feel like it's just the two of us trying to make each other laugh with the best idea. And that has extended through basically every level of this production. And I think it has made the play so strong. And I think as an artist, like that's what it's all about. I need good collaborators, and everything else is gravy.
It's also really struck me how arts gets funded in raising money to do this. Like, our donors are pretty amazing and bold in supporting something like this. They like Cincy Shakes have taken a huge risk and saw something in us and in this play, and it's an incredible thing, and it's shifted my understanding of art support from like the people you thank and that notion of we can't do this without you to no, we literally could not have done this without you. And this whole thing is now standing with all these collaborators in this room because of that support, that it does start from there. So yeah, that relationship has been so much deeper and kind of emotional than I ever would have anticipated.
So if you're out there and you're listening and you have a couple of extra, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank,
and you want a deep emotional connection with me and Will,
and literally for your money, please reach out.
Please don't light that money on fire. Give it to us,
and we will light it on fire for you.
They're transferring from their investment portfolios as we speak. That's what we hope. But the thing is, I think these conversations are what help too. Somebody's listening to this saying like, wow, they talked about their whole journey, and maybe it wasn't initially in their thought process to be here, but they're here. And now the story that brought them here is a part of my overall experience. And that is what I think is very exciting, because you don't know if you're going to see this piece again. You don't know yet.
Yeah.
But it's here in the Fringe now. And so you have 9 opportunities to see the show. Everyone, I hope you're already buying tickets. You know the drill. You're supposed to buy the ticket mid-conversation, right?
Oh.
Yeah, it's Dogberry and Verges Are Scared. It's a pants-pissing funny new comedy. It's at Christchurch Neighborhood House. You can get your tickets at fringearts.com or phillyfringe.org. There's many links, but the link's in the show notes. So you can get there and get your tickets. And that's tickets plural, because theater is more fun with a +1, 2, 3, or 4. So definitely do that. Mike and Will, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and to unpack this journey. Dogberry and Verges Are Scared. It was one of the first shows that I put on my list, as I do my own little Fringe list, and then I touch base with Broad Street Review and see how many things are matching. So we're on the same page with this one.
Well, that's awesome, Darnell. We appreciate it so much.
We can't wait to see you there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Looking forward to it. And thank you so much again for chatting. Everyone, after you listen again. I don't know. Let's get the numbers up on this download. Listen again, and then buy your tickets, and then go see the show and buy some more tickets. Bring a different friend, because you can't really do it justice talking about your experience. You have to bring a friend, and you have to look at them. The way you look at somebody when you responded to parts of the piece, and you look at them to see if they respond the same way, and you're like, and you get it. You weren't listening. Listen, I have to tell you. I'll tell you about it later. It's all insider. Trust me, I've got notes. But either way, it's going to be fun. It's going to be engaging, and you'll be a part of the conversation. So Will and Mike, thank you so much for chatting with me. It was truly a pleasure.
Treat, Darnell. Thank you.
Thank you.